The box arrived on my 35th birthday, a sleek black package tied with a silver ribbon. It was from Chloe, my wife's sister. Inside, nestled in velvet-like divots, were 24 handcrafted chocolates, each one a miniature work of art. "Happy birthday, Mark. Indulge yourself. You deserve it. Love, Chloe," the card read. I smiled. Chloe and I had always gotten along well, two calm harbors in the often stormy sea that was my wife, Sarah. "Oh, those look expensive," Sarah said, peering over my shoulder. Her voice had a strange edge to it, a high-pitched tightness I couldn't quite place. "You should save them, for later, when you're alone and can really enjoy them." Her insistence was peculiar. "What, you don't want one?" I asked, offering the box. She recoiled slightly, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. "No, they're your gift, all for you. Just maybe wait until tonight, after dinner. It'll be a nice treat." I shrugged it off. Sarah had been acting distant for months, a quiet chill seeping into the warmth of our 10-year marriage. Conversations had become perfunctory, centered around bills and schedules. Our intimacy had dwindled to a polite, almost brother-sisterly affection. I'd attributed it to stress. Her job at a high-end art gallery was demanding, and she'd been working longer and longer hours, attending galas and smoozing with wealthy clients I never met. I was trying to be a supportive husband, giving her space, hoping the phase would pass. This oddness about the chocolates was just another small, confusing piece in a puzzle I couldn't solve. Later that afternoon, Chloe called to say she was dropping off her kids, 7-year-old Lily and 5-year-old Tom, for a couple of hours while she ran an urgent errand. It was a common occurrence, and I adored my niece and nephew. They burst into the house like a pair of tiny, giggling tornadoes. "Uncle Mark, happy birthday!" Lily shouted, throwing her arms around my legs. As we were playing with Legos in the living room, my eyes landed on the box of chocolates still sitting on the kitchen counter. A perfect idea bloomed in my mind. What better way to enjoy a birthday treat than to share it with these two little beams of sunshine? It was a gesture of familial love, a way to connect, to make the gift more than just a self-indulgent snack. "Hey guys," I said, picking up the box. "Look what your mom got me for my birthday. Want to help me eat them?" Their eyes went wide with delight. "Chocolate!" Tom squealed. I laid the box on the coffee table, and we each picked one. I chose a dark chocolate swirl, Lily a white chocolate heart, and Tom a milk chocolate square with a nut on top. They were exquisite, melting in the mouth with a rich, complex flavor. We laughed as Tom got chocolate on his nose. It was a perfectly happy, innocent moment. We finished about half the box before their sugar rush kicked in, and they were off to chase each other around the backyard. An hour later, Sarah came home from work early, which was a surprise in itself. She walked into the living room, saw the open, half-empty box of chocolates on the table, and her face went chalk white. "Where are the chocolates?" she asked, her voice a strained whisper. "In our bellies," I chuckled. "Lily and Tom helped me with them. They were delicious. You should thank Chloe. They must have cost a fortune." Sarah didn't smile. The color drained from her face, replaced by a ghastly gray pallor. Her eyes darted around the room, wide with a terror I had never seen before. "The kids? Lily and Tom ate them?" Her voice cracked, escalating into a near shriek. "How many? How many did they eat, Mark?" "Whoa, honey, calm down," I said, standing up, confused and alarmed by her extreme reaction. "They had a few each. What's wrong? It's just chocolate." "It's not just chocolate," she screamed, grabbing my arms, her nails digging into my skin. "Oh my God, what have you done?" Just then, Lily stumbled in from the backyard, rubbing her eyes. "Uncle Mark," she murmured, her voice thick and drowsy. "I'm really sleepy." Tom followed, looking equally lethargic. He swayed on his feet and yawned, a huge, jaw-cracking yawn that seemed unnatural for the middle of the afternoon. A cold dread, sharp and icy, pierced through my confusion. Sarah's panic wasn't about a ruined gift. It was fear, pure, unadulterated fear. She rushed to the kids, feeling their foreheads, shaking their shoulders gently. "Lily, Tommy, stay awake, babies. Stay with Auntie Sarah." My mind raced, connecting the dots. The expensive, exclusive chocolates. Sarah's bizarre insistence I eat them alone, at night. Her apocalyptic panic when she found out the children had eaten them instead. The kids' sudden, overwhelming drowsiness. "Sarah," I said, my own voice shaking now, "what was in those chocolates?" She wouldn't look at me. Her face was a mask of guilt and horror. I didn't wait for an answer. I scooped up Tom, who was now lolling against the doorframe, and Sarah grabbed Lily. We rushed to the car, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The 20-minute drive to the emergency room felt like an eternity. The kids weren't unconscious, but they were barely responsive, their eyelids fluttering. At the hospital, doctors and nurses swarmed around us. I handed them the remaining chocolates, explaining what happened. The word toxicology was mentioned. As they wheeled the children into a treatment room, I turned to Sarah in the sterile, silent waiting area. "Talk. Now." My voice was low, dangerous. She finally broke, collapsing into a chair, her body racked with sobs. "I didn't know the kids would be here," she wept. "It wasn't for them." The confession came out in a torrent of tears and broken sentences. The affair, the man she'd met through the gallery, older, wealthier, more exciting, the plan they had hatched. It was so much worse than simple infidelity. It was monstrous. They couldn't just leave. I would have been entitled to half of everything, including the substantial inheritance Sarah had received years ago, which we had pooled into our joint assets. So they devised a plan, a clean break. Chloe, who was drowning in debt after her own recent divorce, was their accomplice for a share of the money. She had procured the chocolates, laced with a potent, fast-acting sedative used in veterinary medicine, enough to knock a full-grown man unconscious for 10 to 12 hours. The plan was for me to eat the special chocolates on my birthday night. Sarah would then find me unresponsive, call an ambulance, and tell them I must have had a stroke or a heart attack. In the ensuing medical chaos, while I was incapacitated in a hospital, she would have cleared out our joint accounts, filed for divorce, and disappeared with her lover, leaving me with nothing but a medical mystery and a shattered life. Chloe, sending the gift, provided a layer of separation for Sarah. It was a sick, twisted plot that treated my life as a mere inconvenience to be swept aside. But I hadn't eaten them. I had shared them. I had given the poison meant to disable me to her own sister's children. My simple act of kindness, of sharing a birthday treat, had inadvertently detonated their entire scheme. The police arrived at the hospital, alerted by the doctors about a potential poisoning. Chloe was brought in for questioning, and faced with the reality of her children being hospitalized due to her actions, she confessed everything, corroborating Sarah's story and implicating her lover. Thankfully, the doctors confirmed the dose the kids had ingested was small enough that it wouldn't cause any permanent harm. They would be groggy, but would make a full recovery. The relief was so profound, it brought me to my knees right there in the hallway. I had saved them. By sheer dumb luck, I had saved them from their own mother and aunt. I walked back to the waiting room where Sarah was sitting, head in her hands. She looked up as I approached, her face swollen, her eyes pleading. "Mark, I am so sorry. I never wanted to hurt anyone." I looked at the woman I had loved for a decade, the woman I had built a life with, and I felt nothing but a vast, empty coldness. She wasn't sorry she had planned to ruin my life. She was sorry she got caught. She wasn't horrified by her betrayal. She was horrified by the unintended consequences for her sister's children. "You didn't want to hurt anyone?" I repeated, my voice hollow. "You were going to drug me, rob me, and leave me for dead, Sarah. The only reason those two little kids aren't in a morgue grave right now is because their small bodies couldn't handle the full dose you had prepared for your husband. Don't you dare talk to me about not wanting to hurt anyone." I left her there with the police. I didn't look back. It's been 6 months now. The divorce is finalized. Sarah and her lover are facing a raft of criminal charges, as is Chloe. My house is quiet and feels too big for one person. Sometimes I'll be watching TV, and my mind will drift back to that day. I see the joy on Lily's and Tom's faces as they picked out their chocolates. I remember the rich taste, the sweet, creamy texture. And then I remember the cold dread in the hospital, the horrifying truth spilling from Sarah's lips. The box was meant to be the end of my life as I knew it, a sweet, decadent betrayal. But by sharing it, by choosing a moment of innocent connection over solitary indulgence, I turned their weapon into my salvation. It was the worst day of my life, but it was also the day I was set free from a lie. I still have the silver ribbon from the box, tucked away in a drawer. It's a reminder that sometimes the most monstrous intentions can be unraveled by the simplest act of kindness.